happy when Gabe got to come home from the army in December. He hadn't been in too long, but it made for a very special Christmas to see him. Everybody said he looked like a grown-up man.
Thanks, it's good to be home.
The whole family was proud of him.
So how long are you going to be home, Gabe?
It's a 30-day furlough, Mr. Miller, and I'm really enjoying it.
I bet you are. Listen, nothing would make us more prouder than to have you come over to the house for a day. I mean, there's no hurry. Just when you have a chance, we want to know where you've been and what you've been doing.
I'll do my best to make it over one day.
And we'd love to see you anytime. Anytime.
There's all kinds of trouble brewing in the world, Gabe. We'll be keeping you in our prayers.
Yes, ma'am.
All kinds of trouble. We hear about it on the radio nearly every day.
Since Gabe got home, nobody in the family had said much about what was going on in the world. I think Miss Gillenwater just mentioned it because she wanted everybody to know that she had a radio. Soon enough, though, we'd all be talking about it.
Oh, Grandma, are those some of your famous chicken and dumplings I see?
Sure are, Gabe. I bet you don't get chicken and dumplings like that in the Army, do you?
Oh, no. They don't make chicken and dumplings like that. No, ma'am. Army food is nothing like this.
They ought to learn how to make them. Why, I can take one chicken and stretch it to feed 10 people. Save the government some money.
Yeah.
I'll give you the recipe when you get ready to go back, honey.
All right, Grandma.
What is Army food like, Gabe?
A lot of the fellas complain about it, but it seems okay to me. There's always plenty of it.
Bet you don't have to eat cornbread and soup beans every night, now do you?
Now, there's nothing wrong with cornbread and soup beans, Priscilla. Lucky to have them the way things are today.
We ought to be grateful.
We do get cornbread every now and then, but Grandma, they put sugar in it. I can't get used to that.
My land. I've heard there are people who put sugar and eggs in their cornbread. Sounds more like corn cake to me.
We get a lot of beef, not a lot of hog meat other than bacon or ham. Something for breakfast. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I know what we call it, and I can't tell you what it is in polite company.
Well, we were able to kill 2 fine hogs a couple of weeks ago, and for that, we can be thankful.
And speaking of being thankful, let's bow our heads and turn grace. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you.
When you're not being a soldier, what do you do?
Well, on a weekend pass, a few of us made it up to New York City, and we didn't sleep at all. We couldn't afford a room, so we just walked around the whole time and caught a train back to the base.
What's New York City like? Lots of houses, I suppose.
The downtown is tall buildings, skyscrapers. My neck got sore from looking up. My buddy TJ's from New Jersey. He had been there before. We ate food I'd never heard of, rode the subway.
Rode The subway?
Interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin. The Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, by air, President Roosevelt has just announced. The attack also was made on all naval and military activities on the principal island of Oahu.
The White House is now giving...
Pearl Harbor? Isn't that where Oscar Cunningham's boys at?
I believe so. They said he was in Hawaii. I know that. If they're hearing this, they're going to be worried sick.
The details are not available. They will be in a few minutes.
But come to think of it, somebody needs to go over there and tell them. I don't think they have a radio.
No need to go running over there and scare the wits out of them. Don't even know how much to tell yet. Just keep listening.
Nevertheless, if need be, I can put some chicken and dumplings in a boat. We've more than enough.
A Japanese attack upon Pearl Harbor naturally would mean war, and hostilities of this kind would naturally mean that the president would ask Congress for a declaration of war.
Gabe, what does that mean for you?
I'm not sure, Mother. We'll just have to wait and see. Tomorrow morning we can go down to Culberson's store. The Army knows that's the closest telephone. If I need to go back, they'll let me know.
Admiral Nomura and Special Envoy Caruso are at the State Department.
Japanese? Surely there couldn't have been much damage. I didn't think they could make airplanes good enough to fly to Hawaii.
Her appearance at the State Department on this Sunday afternoon emphasizes the gravity of the Far Eastern situation.
Soon enough, we learned that the Japanese planes were good enough to make it to Pearl Harbor, and the attack killed a lot of people.
From the president's office that a second air attack has been...
The president declared war the next day, Monday, December 8th. Gabe learned that his Christmas leave was canceled, and he had to get back to Fort Dix.
I wonder if you guys will get any snow this year. It's easier on the reindeer when there's snow, you know.
I'm too old for that kind of stuff, Gabe.
Grown up or not, you better write me every week. I'll want to know what's going on back here at home.
I will. It was good for you to check up on old Lyra.
That's a fact.
Priscilla, what have I told you about climbing those trees?
I can get down. I'll put stuff in that cow patty. How come Ira lives so far away from everybody, Gabe?
He likes it that way, I suppose. He claims when he's all alone in the woods, he feels closer to his maker.
Daddy says he was different when he came back from the war. What do you think the war will do to you, Gabe?
Now that's something I don't think about. And don't ask anymore, there's no need of it. Whatever happened to Ira didn't change the fact that he's a good man and a good friend of the family.
Well, he never married. If it weren't for that mule and his dogs, he wouldn't have anyone to talk to. Do you reckon war turns you against marrying?
Maybe. Look at those mountains, Priscilla. How can you talk such foolishness when you can just walk and look at those?
I see it every day, Gabe. I'll see it tomorrow and the next day. you ask me, I'd like to see some of those buildings in New York City.
I'm sure you'll get a chance to someday. Besides, you might find this view right here is more of your liking. You know what a big city does to a girl, don't you?
What?
Well, it'll turn you plumb against Marion.
Fine by me. Being an old maid in a big old city would suit me to a T.
Well, there's Ira's cabin. Doesn't look like any smoke's coming from the chimney. I'm sure he's here somewhere.
Gabe, look at him. Is he breathing?
Ira! 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 Can you see anything in there, Priscilla?
Nothing stirring as far as I can tell. Not a lamp burning anywhere.
Ira? It's Gabe and Priscilla.
Not here. Let's go check down at the creek.
Ira!
Not here. Let's try the barn.
Ira!
Gabe, look at him. Is he breathing?
Yes, I'm breathing. Don't call the undertaker just yet. Who is it's ended my nap? Is that you, Miss Priscilla? What in the world are you doing here?
I didn't think you were dead, Ira. Honest. You were just lying so still. Well, me and Gabe came to talk to you and to tell you some news.
Gabe is here? Gabe, is that you? I hadn't seen you since you left for the Army. Let me get a look at you. A bit stouter looking. When'd you get home?
We got home late last night.
How long you home for? Staying till Christmas, I suppose.
That was the plan, but now we don't know. Ira, the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor today. The radio reports say it was pretty bad. There's talk of the president declaring war.
Japanese? What are they doing? They're clear on the other side of the world.
Mom says she thinks Delbert Cunningham is stationed over there. He joined the Navy a little over a year ago.
Yes, I try to keep up with everybody in the service. I talked to his parents about 2 weeks ago. Well, how are you and Uncle Sam getting along?
After basic training, it eases up a mite. I probably got through easier than most thanks to you. You told me what to expect, and pretty much happened that way.
You look like you've gained an inch.
His feet have got bigger, too.
My sergeant said the Army'd make a man out of you. I guess we're going to find out if that's true. Going to find out a little sooner than expected, though, I'll tell you that.
The business about them trying to make a man out of you. They're trying to make a soldier out of you. Don't forget that. A man and a soldier is two different critters.
Are you telling Gabe not to listen to his sergeant?
No, listening to sergeant's good about soldiering, without a doubt. But past that, they don't know any more than me and you.
I bet Gabe already knew that. Didn't you, Gabe?
I'm always learning, Priscilla. For sure, I'm going to learn a lot more before this is through.
You'll do fine. This whole country will be proud of you. So, did you all come all this way to tell me about the attacks? Have I shown you some?
Yeah, and since I got to get back to base so soon, tomorrow we're having a few people over the house. Nothing fancy, but we was hoping you'd come by.
It's tomorrow at dinner time. There's gonna be some picking on the porch. You ought to come over.
Well, that sounds like something worth doing. I ain't heard any good picking in a while. But I gotta warn you, Miss Priscilla, I might want to dance. Can you handle that?
Hey, Gabe, you know at dinner you were telling us about that army food?
Yeah?
And you said that it wasn't polite what they called it, and that you couldn't tell us in polite company?
Yeah?
I want to know what they called it.
Oh, no. Well, that just wouldn't be right. Well, that'd make even a big city girl blush.
You can tell me. If you tell me, I won't tell Mama and Daddy.
Oh, I can never.
I'm old enough to hear it. I tell you what, if you want me to write you letters while you're off fighting a war, you better tell me.
Well, they call it SOS for short. Does that help any?
No, SOS doesn't mean a thing to me. Some kind of code.
SOS stands for something.
Just tell me and get it over with.
All right, but you asked to hear it.
Kay, that's awful.
Oh, big city girl. Surely you've heard worse than that.
That evening, Gabe said he was going out to talk to some of his friends. Back where we lived, that usually meant down at the little graveyard on the way to Ira's place.
And this guy was old.
That's where Gabe and his buddies liked to meet. Who knows why?
Just the three of us.
Hard to keep up with everybody now.
Yeah. First, Dick moved to Knoxville with the family, and Delbert and Bob joined the Navy.
Has anybody been over to Delbert's house? I figured his mother's worried sick after Pearl Harbor.
Doggone, Rufus, you're gonna raise the dead. Still won't even take a swallow, Gabe. Thought the Army would make you different.
The Army will try, that's for sure.
Is the Army rough?
It's tougher than anything I've ever been through. I knew it was going to be rough as soon as we got off the bus. We got to the base at night. We're all worn out from being on the bus all day anyways. Then as soon as the door opens, all you can hear is all this yelling. Then we file out of the bus, and there's these bright lights and a path between a bunch of guys yelling and cussing at us.
What were they yelling about?
They were just yelling to be yelling, I don't know. But I was lucky. Ira told me about it. Ira said the drill instructors would be waiting for us.
Trying to get you rattled. Whatever you do, don't look at anybody. Just look straight ahead, and you'll make it through.
Well, he was right. I was looking right at the guy in front of me, when all of a sudden his head turned toward the right, and then he just disappeared. I don't know what happened to him. Somebody must have grabbed him, but I wasn't about to look and see what happened to him.
Sounds pretty scary.
The Army's not all that bad, though. They feed us pretty good. I got to take my first shower. My first shower with 25 other men.
Dad got us a bathtub. Of course, you still have to go out to the shed to use it. Dick's house, where they moved to Knoxville, they got a bathtub inside and a toilet, too. Yeah, I saw it when I went to visit. Truth be told, I mainly went to see Sarah Ann, Dick's sister. Things were going pretty well until they up and moved. City's changed her. She don't want to have much to do with me now.
Oh, if you'd stop slobbering around her, maybe she'd change her attitude a little bit.
No, it's the city. The cities are different.
I have some friends in the Army from real big cities. New York, San Francisco, Chicago. A couple of buddies of me used a weekend pass to go up to New York City. And that place sounds different, smells different, even tastes different. The worst part is people asking me to say something so they can hear what somebody from Tennessee sounds like.
Hey, Ma's gonna sign the papers after school this spring. She's letting me sign up. And she don't need me to watch my little brothers much anymore. They're getting big enough to take care of themselves.
I always wondered how you fit in that family of yours, Rufus. Well, those little brothers, Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Rufus just don't fit in.
Ain't much of a story to tell there. Well, Pa used to be a hell-raiser. I just come along before he got religion. I may not have got my Pa's religion, but I reckon I did get his taste for the bottle.
You take after your pa with a gun, too.
I do like to hunt, but we're gonna be hunting Germans and Japs before long, from what I can tell.
That's what the radio's been saying. You think you can shoot a man, Gabe?
I know I could. It won't be no different than shooting a squirrel or a groundhog, I figure.
He'll be shooting back, Rufus. Might make you flinch a little bit. To tell you the truth, I don't know what it would be like. Sarge kept telling us he trained us right. Said we'll know what to do when time comes.
Boys, it's getting cold. I believe winter's coming on. Let's find us some fire and warm up.
This place sure is going to be different without you two.
Joe, everything's going to be different soon.
Maybe so. Maybe so.
Hey! Yeah.
It's hard to believe you can play Christmas music in the middle of December on the front porch. It's so warm. You think everybody got enough to eat, Vernon? What about that cider? It hasn't turned, has it? Some of those apples were a little past ripe, in my opinion.
Is all right, Martha. You need to slow down. You've been working like a buzzsaw these past few days.
Well, if I stop, then I'm going to start thinking about Gabe. And if I do that, you're going to have a crying woman in the middle of all this music. Well, you don't want that now, do you?
Well, you do what you have to do. But Gabe doesn't need to go worrying about us.
Ira, so glad you could make it out today. It means a lot to the whole family, especially Gabe.
Well, happy to be here, Eliza. I think a lot of that boy. I hate it that wars broke out and that he has to be a part of it.
They've been hating war for generations, and I reckon we're not going to be the only ones to tell a young'un goodbye. All we can do is pray that he makes it home.
Amen to that.
What have you
been told that if the band plays a snappy little tune, old Ira here might dance a little bit for us.
Boys, this ain't gonna last too long. A couple of bars and this old bird will be tuckered out.
Come on, Ira, do it!
Yeah, come on, Ira. Yeah, come on, bring him home, Ira. Come on. Hey. Oh, yeah. Hey, hey. Let's hear it. Oh, yeah. Oh.
What is it, Ira? I don't recognize that car, Ira. Do you?
Afraid I do, Gabe. I'm afraid I do.
Ira knew the car was on its way to the Cunninghams. It turned out Delbert was one of the sailors to die at Pearl Harbor. His family took the news about like you would expect. There was nothing anybody could say except that they were sorry. On this, Gabe's last night at home, all the menfolk had planned on going fox hunting. With Delbert's death, the spirit was kind of taken out of everybody, but Daddy said life had to go on, and insisted that fox hunting was part of life, and I guess it was, at least around here.
Weren't too sure you're gonna make it.
Not to worry, fellers. Me and Jack had to have a conversation at the house. He couldn't understand how come we were fox hunting on Monday night, but we settled it.
Glad you can make it, Ira.
Wouldn't have missed it for anything. Hey.
Hey, come on in, Ira. We got a good fire going, little coffee in the pot. She'll be a real fine night to run the dogs.
We're looking forward to it.
Herd on the loose. I don't want to hear all this yapping. Herd on the loose.
And it's awful hard to convince a coon dog that he's a coon dog when there's rabbits running around.
No dog?
No, not at all.
What are you doing here?
I just thought I'd come out and enjoy the evening.
Oh.
Let's put a little closer. Listen to that.
I think they've hit on something.
Don't sound like a cold trail. No sirree. Sounds like they're on to something.
Let's hope it's a fox. Because if it's a deer, they may not be home for a few days.
Oh, it's a fox, all right. Either that or the lead dog convinced everybody that it was.
Why, Don, I think that's your dog in the lead. What do you think?
You think so, Ira? Could be.
Well, that's him all right.
Why, you may be right, Ira. I haven't had my dog very long, so I just don't recognize his voice right away. Yes, I think you're right. My dog does have a distinctive voice like that, doesn't he?
Sure does.
Yes. That's quite a dog of mine, old Warpaint. I don't mind telling you I paid a pretty penny for him. Well, if my wife found out how much I paid for him, I'd be sleeping in the barn all winter. But he's worth it. I had my doubts the first time or two I took him out. Seems like he always got home first. He liked that porch living, all right. Now listen, that's music to a real true outdoorsman, isn't it?
Oh. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll give you $500 for that dog right now, cash money.
Well, I can't sell a dog like that for a loss, Ira. Besides, money just can't replace the joy of owning such an animal. Why, look at us here. We're standing here listening to that beautiful baritone voice. Why, almost me to no end to own such a fine dog as old War Paint. Put your money back in the pocket and let's enjoy the music.
Last chance. $500. Take it or leave it.
No.
All right. Strong as old War Paint is, we'll be out here half the night listening to him run. We better get over there close to the fire and find a place to sit.
Robbie, son of a gun. How could you?
Oh, Don, don't take it so hard. We've all had a dog embarrass us a time or two. Come on over here by the fire and get yourself a cup of coffee. Listen to the dogs race. Besides, you can take pride in knowing that you got the smartest dog in the pack.
How's that?
Well, wouldn't you rather be over here sitting by a warm fire listening to the dogs run? War Paint's smarter than most, I'd say. Smarter than most.
That's usually how fox hunting goes around here. Nobody ever seems sure if there's a fox out there or not. As long as the dogs are chasing something and making music, everything seems all right. I don't claim to understand why the menfolk enjoy it so. On the day Gabe had to leave for the army, he left the house saying he was just going to walk around the place. We never saw where he went or what he did. Mother said it was best to leave him alone, and that's what we did.
You never know who you run into when you take a walk in the morning.
Didn't expect to see no soldier out here. You by yourself?
Yeah, I thought it might be a while before I got to see the place. Just decided to take a walk.
I saw one of Vaughn's old foxhounds on the way over. He looked like he was headed to the house. He had that wore-out look on him like he was glad to be a foxhound, nevertheless.
I think we all may have had that look after last night.
Actually, I was coming over to see you. Like you said, you'll be leaving in a while, and I won't be seeing you. I didn't get to finish talking to you the other night with Priscilla there and all. It's just hard to say everything I wanted to say.
I appreciate that, Ira. I've got a lot going on inside of me right now. I wouldn't know where to begin, other than the fact that I'm not scared. I'm not scared for me. You understand?
I do.
I mean, I knew there was a chance a war might be possible when I signed up. Now I'm going to see what it's like.
All that's natural. You can't know what's ahead of you. You don't know who you'll be.
It's not knowing who I'll be is what worries me. What was it like for you? It changed you, didn't it?
Without a doubt.
I don't want it to change me. I like who I am. I like what my parents have taught me. I like where I live, this place.
Well, you got to fight to hold on to those feelings. Something's got to get you up every day with the hope of getting you up the next day and the day after that. That's the part that makes the man inside different from a soldier. If you get up every day to do a soldier's job, you'll hollow out inside. You'll get numb to the parts of life that ain't killing.
It worries me.
Good. It ought to worry you. Worry means that there's hope, that the man inside is holding on to that little bit of fire. It's fighting off the dark with that little bit of light and holding on for the next day and the day after that and just hoping to keep that little light flickering.
I am scared, Ira. Truthfully, I am.
Confound, I know that. Any fool would be scared. Every one of those soldiers standing next to you is scared. So is the man on the other side. Being scared is part of the game. You just keep your mind on what you have to do, and with God's grace, you'll come walking back home here when it's over. I can't sugarcoat it any other way, Gabe. That's what you got ahead of you.
I reckon so.
I reckon. Hell of a thing to be talking about at Christmas time, Gabe.
Christmas. It's going to be different this year, that's for sure. Who knows where I'll be, who I'll be with, or what I'll be doing.
It ain't a simple thing you do, Gabe. Oh, before I forget, Merry Christmas to you. Tell your parents and Miss Priscilla I'll be over in a few days to see them.
I will, Ira. You take care. Thanks for the talk. Oh, and Merry Christmas to you too as well.
It was good for me too.
We wondered when you'd be coming back. Gonna have to polish your shoes again.
I've become an expert at that. We've got time.
You're not gonna want to show up at the train with barnyard on your shoes.
Where's Mother and Dad? They doing okay?
Well, they're just getting ready. Mom's mostly wringing her hands, and Dad's telling her everything's gonna be all right.
And how about you?
Well, I'm fine.
You do promise to write me each week. You know, a soldier's got to hear from home.
I'll write you when there's something to write about. Not much happens on a weekly basis.
It's just too slow around here for you, huh?
Now that you're gone, things have slowed down to a complete stop. I would hop on that train with you tonight if I could.
That desperate, huh? Willing to go off and fight in a war just to get out of here?
Oh, goodness, no. I would stop at one of those big cities you talk about. But, Gabe, when I get listening to the radio, I find out that there's a whole other world out there.
I know, but...
I want to go see a baseball game. The New York Yankees. Or go see an orchestra. Or go to the Grand Ole Opry. I'm so sick of seeing plowed fields and mountains. And waking up to the smell of manure every morning. Prospects of being a woman in this part of the world include aprons and babies, none of which are that appealing. Well, I'd eat anything you put on a shingle just to see part of the world. Can you understand that, Gabe?
I sure can. That's part of the reason why I joined the Army.
See?
But now that I've been out there, the more this looks like the place for me. After the war, I'll come back, right here.
I'm afraid, Gabe.
Oh, I'll be back before you know it. There's no reason to worry, young'un.
I reckon I can be as worried as Mother and Dad, since I am not a young'un anymore.
Well, you're right about that. Before long, young men will be fighting each other just to walk you home from school and just itching to dance with you. I always think of you as my little sister, but you're getting to be quite a young lady.
Gabe, it's been so long since you've taken me anywhere, and you used to take me everywhere.
Well, I didn't think you'd want to be seen with an old fella like me. Plus, you have your own friends now.
I was hoping you'd take me to the school dance next spring. Then I'd be sure to get some attention dancing with you.
I'm sure you'll have no trouble getting lots of attention. Tell you what, just in case I'm not back by spring, let's have that dance now.
But there's no music, Gabe.
Don't need music to dance with a pretty girl.
Priscilla.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
I'll always remember the trip to take Gabe to the train. We rode for a time without saying much. Then we passed Delbert Cunningham's place. Mother said Gladys Cunningham was a Gold Star mother now. The car got even quieter then.
What do you think's gonna happen when you get to Fort Dix? I mean, now that war's been declared.
Don't know for sure. I tell you one thing, we need more training. It's my opinion they shouldn't even throw us up against an army that's been fighting for 3 years already. We've not even fired our guns that much. Certainly not at another person.
Gabe, is there a chance in the world you might end up a clerk or a cook or something?
Not likely. I'm infantry, and that's what they need.
Well, what about Christmas? What do you want? I could send you food and clothes.
Don't send clothes, there's no place for them. But if you want to send some candy, that'd be great. I'd be the most popular man in the barracks. But the best gift of all is letters. And since I don't have a girlfriend like many of the fellas, I expect and need to hear from you all. And it wouldn't hurt you to write a line or two as well, Dad. I want to know how Ira's doing. And if Miss Miller ever found out how much Mr. Miller paid for that foxhound of his.
What's this now? Vernon, you didn't mention anything about that.
Gabe, see what you started?
And I expect to hear how many boys want to take you to the dance next spring.
Sure, you're gonna want to read about that.
And I'll write back every chance I get, I promise. Oh, and if you can figure out a way to bottle up that manure smell you love so much, you can send that along too.
You're asking for it now, mister.
It's time for me to go. I wish the furlough could have lasted a little bit longer, but it didn't. You all know I love you.
Take care, son. You know we're behind you every step of the way. Bless you.
I can say, just be careful.
I will, Mother. I will. Don't cry, Priscilla. I'm coming back, I promise. You may be a grown woman by the time I get back, or
living in a big city. But promise me one thing.
I can still hear Gabe say to me, as we stood at the train that night long ago, promise me you'll always be my little sister, no matter what. And with that, he waved goodbye.